What is up, guys? We are live. Zach Ginn here with
Rick Ginn.
And in today's video, what we're going to do is really going to break down exactly what you need to be prepared for if a real estate market crash is going to happen. I'm not saying there's going to be a market crash going on right now or there's going to be a big one coming in the next 12 months or 6 months, but I think Rick can basically vouch for me here. Is there's been a real estate market crash prediction every year for the past, what?
Since 2014.
So for the past 7 years, there's supposedly a big market crash that's supposed to happen. So I don't believe there's going to be a market crash the next year. I don't think Rick does either, but I know there will be a hiccup in this market. It could happen in 10 years. It can happen in 6 days. We don't know, but it's really good for you to be prepared just in case this happens quicker than usual. So in today's video, I'm really going to let Rick talk because I've personally never been through a market crash, and most real estate YouTubers have never, but Rick has. So what we're going to do is learn the biggest lessons you need to know and exactly what you need to prepare for if the market starts crashing, quote unquote, the economy crumbles, how you can still make hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in real estate wholesaling. So let's have Rick and break it down and talk about it.
Okay. So I'm going to take like the first, 15 minutes and just kind of break down. Let me squeeze in here. So it's never a question is if the market is going to have some sort of correction. All markets, a healthy market has to have ups and downs, peaks and valleys. No market just goes straight up. So to put it in theory, if you started anytime from 2011 and on, which is probably about 95% of the people on here, it's literally, I don't have a graph here, but it's straight uphill. It's like a roller coaster where the chain takes you to the top and everybody wants to know, okay, when's the market going to crash? It's the wrong question. So it's not if, it's not necessarily going to crash. So the market's going to make a change. We have crazy factors driving the market and everyone's trying to extrapolate what happened back in 2006-07. We're in a whole new world. Inventory's low, the lowest interest rates I've seen in my lifetime, and the demand's through the roof right now for real estate. Plus, now we throw inflation on top of it, and everybody wants to park their money in an asset to try to protect against inflation. Who knows? But I want you guys to understand there's a direct correlation right now with all assets. So real estate is an asset class. Even boats. Would you guys know I love boats to death? Boats are selling for a premium. You can't even get your hands on them right now because the cost of the materials going up so much. Housing, boats, what else? Stocks are still, they're still definitely up there. Like anything that's an asset is the challenge. So everybody will ask me, Rick, when's the market going to crash? I'm telling you right now, I don't know. I gave up. Honestly, I thought after COVID, just like you probably did, is we would have a major correction and the opposite happen. So the first thing you need to understand and recognize is stop looking at everyone's predictions because all they do is make a prediction, and when it's wrong, they just reforecast it. They never go, I screwed up. I told you the market would crash in 2020 and it didn't. So stop taking people's guesses. So here's the good thing about real estate, and I learned this the hard way. It takes a lot of time for a correction to happen. How long? It typically takes 12 to 18 months. So it will not happen overnight. It will not sneak up on you like the stock market. Do you agree?
I agree.
So everybody thinks you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be 30% less in value. It doesn't work that way. Real estate, they got to work through the mortgages, through the interest rates, through the feds, through the realtors that control 90% of the transactions. So what I want to do in this conversation is dive through the things that I learned during the last market crash, and I have definitely learned my lesson, and I want you to apply these exact principles. So remember, we're wholesalers. The difference between us is everyone else who doesn't wholesale, in my opinion, are speculators. They're waiting for outside variables to control the outcome of their financial future. If you're truly wholesaling in any market, you should not be able to get hurt. Let me repeat that. If you do wholesaling to its truest form, you're basically leveraging a contract with little to none of your own money, which means you're minimizing your risk. the problem is speculation is what destroys people in real estate. And it seems like everyone tries to talk you into it. So let's go ahead and dive into
Well, give everyone your experience with a crash.
with a crash.
What did you go through?
Pain. So
How do you survive it?
how did I survive it? Well, to be honest with you, at first I didn't. I got my ass kicked, and I started in 03, and really the crash, all the handwriting was on the wall from 06 to 07, and I chose to ignore it. Now, when I did wholesaling, I did amazing. Every deal was profitable. I made money. I got in and out. The only ones I got in problem is when I basically over leveraged myself. And that was the biggest challenge everybody had back in, what was it? 2000, really 2009 was when all the stuff came like due. So I always get down. Okay. Sorry.
All right, I'm gonna let you,
yeah, let me dive into it. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over, what we're going to do is just, I'm going to put little highlights up on it. So you just can watch the video. So you can take notes on it. And guys, 19 years experience, take the lessons. These were very expensive lessons that cost me millions and millions of dollars. And it cost me 3 years of heartache. So if it comes back tomorrow, I know exactly what to do. So go ahead, you take off. I'm a big boy.
all right.
Okay. I appreciate it. Say goodbye to Zach, guys. And I'm going to open this up a Q&A, and then we can deep dive into anything you guys are worried about or things you want to talk about. So remember, when you're wholesaling, you're not speculating. So the whole goal of wholesaling is to maximize your profit and minimize your return. The minute you decide to maximize your profit and maximize your exposure, then you become a speculator. You're no longer in the wholesaling arena. And that's where most people get in trouble. How do they get in trouble? They over leverage. What is over leverage? It simply means you borrowed too much money against the property and you are leveraged to the hilt, meaning you owe the bank X amount of dollars. So let me give you an example. Say you have a $1,500 loan total on a property, and say you were renting it for $2,000. You were king of the hill. The market was great. You went out and got like a full, I don't know, 90-10, 80-20 mortgage. And then this correction happened and you survived the first 2 years. Now rents have dropped down to like $1,200. And all the landlords are trying to lower the rents to keep their place occupied. Question is, how long are you going to make up that $300 to $500 difference, whatever it is? The problem is we can all suck up 1 or 2 properties. Try having 30 or 40. Yeah, I did that. And it was painful. And I got it all wrong on that part. If I just stuck to doing wholesaling what I did and I did creative financing with it, I would have done well. Once you sign those loans, guys, if you think loan mods and all that stuff's going to save you, you're completely wrong. Once you sign and do an agreement with a bank for a loan on the property, you're stuck with it until the damn thing's paid off. There's no way around it. You can't talk your way out of it. It's never going to happen. You guys got to take those documents seriously. So the people who always talk about doing the BRRRR method and stuff, listen, if that's up your wheelhouse, that's great. But remember, if you own, say you own the BRRRR method and you own 50 properties, you got to cover that nut. The bank does not care. So I like free and clear houses. I'm not a big fan of the BRRRR method because I watch people get in more and more trouble and all they do is sell you on the upside. They never tell you about the downside. So watch about being over leveraged, because that was the one thing that forced me to do things I did not want to do. I had to work directly with the bank. We had to consider short sales every avenue possible because there wasn't enough buyers. So actually I talked about this one last week. You should lose your ego anyways. So your ego is your alter identity of your subconscious trying to validate everything you do and make you right. And let's face it, we're all not right. Ego is the worst. So where you get in trouble in wholesaling with your ego is if you've gone down a path and you've done it wrong, and we've all done it. We've made mistakes. We've entered campaigns that are terrible, and you let your ego start justifying everything you're doing. And remember, your ego has one job: to make you feel righteous and correct. That is it. It doesn't care if you're right. It doesn't care if you make money, lose money. And so many times you guys let your egos get in the way. Listen, if you bought a property wrong and it's not working out, make a decision sooner than later instead of doubling down, refinancing the property, doing all the stuff. I've owned more properties. I've had properties where I didn't buy them right when I first started out. And instead of just admitting my mistake and sometimes taking a little bit of profit or even a little bit of loss, I doubled down. Why did I double down? Because my ego told me to. And that's right there. If you guys can just avoid the supersized ego, it will save your butt. So nobody cares about your ego. The bank doesn't care. Other buyers don't care. The only person that cares is you. And we let our egos talk us into doing so many like dumb things. But when it comes to real estate, you've got to pay attention. So I'm talking about ego in a down market because you have to eat a lot of humble pie when stuff doesn't work out. So if you bought something and you partnered up with someone, you got a loan and the rents have dropped and you're losing money, you guys got to make a decision what you're going to do. Maybe you can do a wraparound mortgage and do a creative financing to get you through the moment. You know, maybe you can do a short sale, but like, just don't let your ego make the final decision. Get all the data and do what's going to be best for you. So, okay, here's one that unfortunately I had to learn over a 10-year period. Every crash is different. So if you're trying to compare the crash of 07, 08 to today's environment, it won't work. The data is completely erroneous. The only thing you can point to are signs that real estate's getting ready to be stagnant, flat, or going backwards. How do I do that? I'm going to look at new construction builds. Are they peaking? Are they ebbing? Are they growing? Are they shrinking? How do I do that? You can check permits in your town. You can check them locally, your state, and you can check them nationally. And that's what a lot of the big firms use to track real estate data. Because the only way to dig yourself out of a hole. So right now we have very, very low inventory and a ton of demand, which creates a lot of stress on price. The only way to relieve that is to create more inventory. The only way you create more inventory is more people have to put their house on the market or more builders have to develop. Well, the developer part takes a lot longer to do. And most development starts, they keep going up. You'll see cranes popping up, buildings everywhere. And then all of a sudden, you'll see prices flatten out, and then they'll start to level off. And then the developers, they try to compete and shoot themselves in the foot to see who can sell the last of the units before they go bankrupt. So every crash is different. Back in 07, 08, it was a mortgage crisis, meaning they were giving loans to people that should have never got them. And it created this false, anybody could get a loan back then. And there was no protection. And yes, we got screwed as taxpayers on it. I'll just tell you right now. Today, I've already told you, the driving factors are inflation. Inflation's huge right now. Record low interest rates and unstable political environments, even though we haven't established presidents for the next 3.5 years, is you have states for the first time ever doing mandates on if renters don't have to pay like rental rates and stuff like that. That's crazy. You think that would like bust this thing open, and it still hasn't. So we have record demand, the lowest interest rates in history, and we have inflation. People are trying to take money and put it in assets to protect themselves from the inflation factor. Also, another factor we didn't forget is the government just poured more money into our economy at one time, more than we've ever had in history. I want to say it's close to $6 trillion. And if you guys go ahead and write out $6 trillion on a piece of paper, it'll blow your mind how many commas you got to put on there. I don't even know. It's ridiculous. So every crash is different. You can learn the basic lessons. So I'm giving you a lesson from back in 08, 09, 10 plus years ago. I so tried to correlate the data to an old crash that it doesn't work anymore. It's completely different. So that's why people don't know if they're coming or they're going. So all you can do is operate your business and keep an eye on the window in front of you. Do not use the news. It's the terrible one. Use any type of financial reports. A lot of them are available to you. There's great podcasts with really smart people, or just tune in right here. I'm just telling you, if you try to make sense of a market crash to another one, you drive yourself nuts. So let's get in the nitty gritty. So we're in a market, say we just had a good market correction over the last 6 or 9 months. Prices have flattened out and they drop down and inventory is climbing every month. Okay. You now have to pay attention as a wholesaler. And I'm telling you, you really got to pay attention, because if you miss this part, you're going to be chasing your tail for the next 3 to 4 years. So here's what happens. When inventory increases and buyers somewhat decrease, it puts pressure on who? The seller. So it turns into a buyer's market, which means buyers are in control because there's more inventory than there are buyers. So now we have to all compete. Now, it's a lot of fun. Good news, bad news in this. Your sellers, it takes them about a year to realize this. So if it started today, just say we had some crazy price drop and all this crazy news came out about the world economy, it's going to free flow down. And I don't want you to freak about this. So here's the key. You're never, ever going to find the bottom of the market. Stop trying to hunt it. The market will tell you when it's there, and it will tell you long after it happened. Okay. I remember back in 08, 09 thinking, I don't know how much more I can endure. It just keeps dropping and dropping. It dropped all the way to maybe 2010, early 2011. But the best buys we were making at the time were 09 and 010. By the time we realized the bottom, we were already knee deep doing deals, and we were a strict wholesale operation. So what I'm saying is, if you wait too late to make these pivotal adjustments and you're waiting for the bottom of the market, you're never going to find it. It's historical data 6 months to 12 months behind you. Don't look for it. So you always hear people in the stock market, you're never going to time the peak to sell it. You're never going to time the bottom to buy it. Real estate's the same thing. It's just much, much slower. So I want you to understand going into it. So we talk about it. We're in it. We know inventory levels change. We know we're going to have to compete. You're going to have to get dirty, guys. And what do I mean by that? You're going to have to go out and work. This is where so much comes into play. So this is where true wholesalers, especially people just starting out, shine. This is how I started out. I didn't have a lot of money, so I had to go out and really get dirty. What do I mean by get dirty? Man, dude, I was a door knocker. I love knocking on doors, and because I felt it was the fastest way for me to get a deal. And it was at the time. Whole different world now. I don't know if I'd door knock because it's challenging. And people get offended so easily, and it's much harder. And like in a lot of towns, it's illegal to do. So that drives me nuts. So other ways to get dirty, you just got to get in and grind it out. And one of the ways to do it is sweat equity. We all talk about it. What is sweat equity? It's you busting your ass doing probably 4 other people's jobs and getting it done. If it's driving for dollars, if it's handing out flyers, if it's doing, we did the door hangers. I love those. If you ever thought about this idea, we did this always in a down economy. We'd pick a neighborhood that we really loved, that we had a very profitable deal that was in our price points. And we go out and put 500, 800, 1,000 door hangers and just run through the doors and do it. It was exhausting. It was terrible. But every time we did that, we'd run into people and they'd ask us questions. And then that's what led to our spontaneous, what we call belly to belly meeting. And guys, so many people underestimate this. The more people you talk to, the more deals you're going to do. So many of you guys are looking for like quick clicks. I click this direct mail, the incoming leads come in. That's great if you got money. But I'm telling you, some of my best deals today are just talking to people. Hey, one of my best deals, I even give credit to my own mother. Okay. And she had a friend whose mother passed away, and they're like, we have this house. We don't even know what to do with it. And without hesitation, I go, let me just sit down and talk to you. Can I take a look at it and see what the options are? They showed me the house. Within 30 minutes, we sat down, did a contract. They gave me the house, took over the mortgage, and I sold it, unfortunately. Just cash flow issues at the time. But I think the mortgage was $400 a month. And today, that house would rent for $3,500. And I was renting it out for $1,200, thought I was killing it. So what I'm telling you is, guys, get dirty. Like, stop. We're all so busy outsourcing. Just go out and get the stuff done. So when you're going to go out and do sweat equity, the whole goal is to minimize your financial exposure when you're going out and doing any type of your marketing. So guys, whenever businesses get tight, they clamp down on expenses. You got to do the same thing. Just don't cut off your marketing. So leads me to my next one. This is where people are really screwing this up right now. Cash buyers are king. Right now, cash buyers are they're journeymen at best. They're everywhere. Everyone's a cash buyer. Everyone tells you ignore cash buyers. I'm telling you, this thing's going to flip on you. So yes, cash buyers are a dime a dozen. When this flips, you are going to spend more energy on your buyers than you are on your sellers. I know that sounds shocking. I swear that's how it works out. Ask me how I know. Because you have to have not only do you have to have a really good deal, you have to convince that buyer to take action, because he can buy almost any property. He can even buy them off MLS, or she. And I want you to understand, the days where you blew off all cash buyers, you told them to fill out this form, some of them aren't going to be too kind to you when you go back and do it. So what I'm telling you is, start taking care of your cash buyers now. Send them little gifts, send them thank you letters. This is what we call kind of sales marketing. Because when the market shifts, these people are extremely valuable. And I find when the market shifts, you really got to be in tune with your buyers on what they're willing to pay for properties. And then you reverse engineer and make your offers. The days of where you can offer 70, 80% in a down market, I've offered as low as 30, 40% and still couldn't move the property. Once I got in touch with my cash buyers and I figured like what they'd pay, I know exactly when I meet with the sellers. So guys, what I'm telling you is, when the market shifts and pivots, be prepared to change your mentality on how you're dealing with buyers. It doesn't mean I don't want you to be a full-on realtor. I'm just telling you, the days of just giving them a form, telling me submit it, do this by that, and sending them a text, it's not going to be that easy. So when I shift on those markets, I designate whoever my dispositions person is, he or she, and we allocate a lot more time to build investor relations with cash buyers. So use that little tip. So this one is absolutely key. You guys got to learn creative financing. You have to. You are forced in a down market. If you want to do deals, you have to get creative. How do you get creative? If you can create cash flow, you can make anything creative. What does cash flow do? Cash flow pays me today. It pays me tomorrow. It pays me next month, and it pays me at the end of the cycle. It guarantees you can do it. Remember, you can always take a creative financing deal. If you want to refinance it, if you want to resell it, the sky's the limit. You can use it as a rental. It doesn't matter. Well, Rick, a creative financing is complicated. It's really not complicated. The problem is all these gurus make it like super complicated. I'm telling you, creative financing, if you've never done it before, write this key phrase down. I can't put it on the computer. I'm too slow for it. Okay. If you've never done it before, here's I want you to do. You wore your wholesaling hat. You went in, you made an offer. It didn't work. You like the property. You think it could work. They're just off on their number. Here's what I do. I just turn around and go, hey, John, I know my cash offer didn't work. I get it. And I want you to get the best offer you can. I just thought of something. Would you be open to a creative solution? And just shut up and see how they respond. One or two things are going to happen. They're either going to go, you're crazy. Like, I don't want anything to do with you. You already insulted me with a cash offer, which is okay. Or tell me more about it. Like, where are you going with this? I go, well, we have some creative solutions that I can maybe get you closer to what you need. And you basically offer some financing to us. Is that something you want to talk about? Or is that something that you're not interested at all? And then if they keep coming down the pipeline, then I do my full presentation. In the beginning, that's all I said to them. I didn't know what to do afterwards. To be honest with you, I called another wholesaler in my area, and I just JV'd him on deals. He was really good at doing creative financing, and that's how I learned how to do it. So you guys, creative financing will make you the most amount of money really in a down market. You just got to have your options. Because remember, you got a lot of properties sitting. All those expired MLSs, now they're all golden. You just got to figure out how to cash flow them. Don't overthink it. Cash flow rules. And here's my rules on creative financing. If you can make money the day you take it over, do it. Who cares? Like, as long as you're not like committing any type of fraud or anything like that. So what do I mean? if the seller wants $5,000 for you to take over their deal, it cash flows like crazy. You can make money from the day you buy it monthly. And when you sell it, why wouldn't you do it? This is how real estate works, guys. So what do I mean by that? Say they wanted $5,000 to take over the mortgage. Say it was behind 1 month. That was another 1,000. So now you're 6,000 into it. What I want you to do is go out and try to find someone to pay you $10, $15, or $20,000 as down payment. That way you can use that money to pay off the original seller. You can follow through the agreement and everybody wins and everybody's happy from a deal that was never even going to sell. And by the way, you basically make your assignment fee up front. This is the hidden secret in creative financing. You guys complicate it too much. Lease options, sandwich leases, rent to own, you name it. Guys, sometimes it's really just simple. They offer owner financing. You make a number that works, that cash flows. You do some repairs up front, collect the money, and go on from there. Creative financing is, I caught on towards the end when the market was adjusting in 2013, 14. And if I did this back in 2008, it would have been a game changer on it. So I want you to learn from that. So I'm getting ready to get questions, I promise you. You have to get these deep discounts. This is what wholesaling is about, guys. In a down market, you have to have room in a deal. So you have to have room. You have to have room in it. So the days of offering 80, 90% in a down market, if you've operated, it's the only way you know. You need to change it. You need to start focusing on now, because the way you're flipping properties, if you're making it work, you're just collecting small margins because you're getting a buyer's premium. And that's not really wholesaling, in my opinion. So, which leads me to, when you get these discounts, the key is not every deal is going to work out. You have to build the flexibility up front in it. What do I mean by that? You guys are so used to like 10 days and 30 days where you're in and out of contract. I will tell you, when you're in a off market and things have changed and buyers are really hesitant, you have to have massive room to be able to move that profit. So if it took you 30 days, I want you to put 90 days in your contract. 9 times out of 10, your sellers don't say a word. Now, if they need to get out of the house in 30 days, you better know what your plan is. Don't write a contract if you cannot fund it and if the deal doesn't work out. But if you have time, put 90 days in your contract and try to get it done earlier. If you put 30 days, you're going to be chasing down extensions for the next 3 months if you don't get the right price. And a lot of times you can go back to them and just the price isn't working because buyers aren't willing to make that move. And then you can ask for a discount to make it work. So contract flexibility, you guys think 30 days is a really long time in a down market. Multiply it by 3 or 4 and put it in your contracts, and then try to pleasantly surprise them, because doing it the other way makes it very painful. Okay, last but not least, and we're getting the questions, I promise. Cheap marketing wins, guys. I love, if you have a chance, write down the word guerrilla marketing and just Google it. And it's there's multiple ways to spell it, but Guerilla. And it's basically the fastest way to get deals for the minimal amount of expense. So I talked about earlier, door hangers, driving for dollars, obviously cold calling, SMS, texting, you can work your way up. When you have a down market, you have to, it's not about always spending the most amount of money marketing. It's whoever puts in the most effort, because effort doesn't see how much it costs. It just sees how much work's done. That's where you guys are going to hustle. You're going to get dirty. And this is where the sweat equity comes in. So that's it on the market. I just want you guys to understand, when there will be a market correction. I don't know how long it can go on. And I'm not going to make a prediction. I think we're in a good space for the rest of this year, but guys, eventually it's going to give. Something's got to give. It can't go on forever. So if you look at the last 100 years of historical real estate data, this will tend to support the claim. The problem is we don't know exactly when. So guys, let me jump into it. If you haven't, let's see here. I'm going to take them all in order. So let me get that off of there. So before we get started, do me a favor, guys, hit that subscribe button. If you're new to this, we are basically a free mastermind. I have 19 years experience. My son has 4 years experience, and you guys know he's very advanced and he does very well in this business. And we just love thriving in a family business, having fun, and we take ownership for our financial destiny, and everything else that goes with it. And we like to have a lot of fun when we do it. So I didn't get in this business to grind 60 hours a week, nor do I want you. So you got to have fun while you do this. So do me a favor, hit subscribe. I'm not going to charge you on this channel. I do not have a hidden course. Honestly, I have so much material up in here. And my goal is to help any investor out to make at least $100,000, because that's how I showed Zach how to do it very quick at 17. And you guys are no different. So he had all the doubts. I had all the doubts when I started back in 2003. And the goal of this is to help as many investors as possible and make a strong, like-minded community. And understand, I'm in the business every day. I am not a coach. My son is not a coach. We are just want to be leaders. If we lead by example, then I'm happy. So I really enjoy doing this stuff. Like, I don't do this for money. There's so many things I can do for money. So how you can repay me is doing subscribe, using the products that we use in our business. And by the way, we test everything out. And a lot of times I stuff for like a year plus before I even recommend it. So if it helps make me money and they're consistent and they have good customer service and they'll give my members a discounted rate, then that's how we do it. And that's how you can repay me. So let's do this. Go ahead and put your questions below, and I'm going to start picking them one by one. And then maybe by the end, I'll just pick one live person and we'll just do a quick, like 3 or 4 minute, we'll talk about your markets and, your questions in regards to market crashes. So, okay, let's go here. Awesome. So, because I'm getting the vibes of being a genuine guy, need this channel for sure. So I don't have this crazy spiel for you. I find the more authentic we are being ourselves, the more comfortable everybody is, and you get to know the person, and it's just fun, like, to spend time on it. So the idea is, with technology today, I'm able to share my journey all the way back from 2003 to today, because I'm in the fight with you guys every day, and it's really cool. And I can assimilate a lot of differences and similarities, and you want to use them to your advantage. How many people you know that have 19 years willing to share that experience? I don't mind doing it. And by the way, I learned from all of you. Like, there's a lot of techniques I've learned even in the last 3 months. I'm like, that's really cool. When I have success with it, I want to share it with you. Here's the key. You ain't paying 10 grand for it. So I appreciate the comment. Thank you. So let's, oh my gosh. Okay. I missed a bunch here. Hold on. Let me clear this call. Okay. So, okay, let's jump into it. So even with investing into rentals, market goes down, people rent more, correct? Yes, they do. The challenge is when inventory rises low, rental rates get more competitive, because as units are sitting vacant, you're earning zero. So if somebody was getting, say, $2,000 a month and they got 3 or 4 vacant rentals, they're willing to give away 1, 2, 3 months. I've seen 6 months free. It actually gets a little bit crazy. So sometimes, like, when landlords have a lot of properties and they start to go vacant, and so say they were renting for 1,500 and rents dropped to like 13, they're scaling down to 1,200. The landlords get nervous and they start to panic, and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to take this guy and put him in. The financial part's tough to swallow, but the problem is what they start doing is they start cutting corners. They're not doing background checks. They start to put in more problem tenants, and it snowballs. And this is why I love down markets, because you get a lot of like really good deals. So yes, on rentals, more people rent, but the susceptible houses are the ones in the middle to upper income, because the rents are really hard to find people on those. So So, guys, my son just took off. I try to take over Friday night so he can have some time to him. And so I want you to use this to ask as many questions to me. And I'm around him every day. So if you got a question about him, here's a good question. Why doesn't he call him dad? So Zach is a grown man on his own, and I'm very proud of everything he's accomplished. He's completely self-sufficient, lives on his own, has his own place. Um, People ask me, um, I had the privilege of living with him for 20 years, and I'd love to have him stay with me. So if you guys have kids, you can hear the dad coming out in me. But we all have to aspire to have everybody be independent and be happy and have fun what they're doing. And if you can get them involved in your family business, even better. So, so Zach lives just down the road from me. So we have a lot of fun, and obviously we use the same studio. So I love it because I get to see him pretty much 7 days a week. So I'm just one of those dads, like my kids. I have a daughter too. She's gonna kill me. Okay, here we go. Because people don't know he's dad. They think, who's dad? Haha. So I'm Rick. So everybody kind of calls me Rick, Flip with Rick. And I got some good humor stories way back in the day, but I'm not going to do it today. So let's keep talking about the market. So you're saying the RE market will crash soon, next couple months? No. Here's the deal. Nobody freaking knows. And whoever's going to put their ass out on a limb and say the market's going to crash this year, they owe themselves to come out and admit when they're wrong. You have a responsibility when you make a prediction, and when it doesn't come true, re-predicting it every year for the next 8 years doesn't make you smart. So honestly, I don't know when it's going to drop. All I can do, I can look 3 to 6 months down the road. I think we're in pretty good shape. After that, I have no idea. I have no idea. Now, here's the beauty. A market crashes is irrelevant to wholesalers. You just have to shift your game up a little bit. A market crash is devastating to speculators. But remember, speculators are a big part of our customers that buy our products. So when the speculator's gone, you have to sell more to the hardcore cash guy. And that's where your relationship's going to make the difference if it works or not. So keep that in mind. So Sam says, you watch the news, you'll go crazy. So I will tell you, from 2007 to 2011, every day was a negative report about the real estate market. So I promise you, when that comes out, they'll jump like all over it. So guys, shut off the news. There is nothing on there that's going to help you. They are strictly a corporation that needs to get eyeballs on them. And the only way you get eyeballs is people love negativity, and that's how they suck you in and avoid it at all costs. So I agree. Rick, can you adopt me? That's a hard no. But I will tell you, I'll adopt you on the internet, and I'll show you how to do this exact crazy wholesale game for absolutely free. You guys shouldn't be paying for this stuff. There's the technology today. Listen, when I started back, I would have killed to pay somebody. I paid somebody a ridiculous amount of money that didn't teach me much, but it got me started. So I don't really knock it. So today, it seems like there's 3 million options, 1 million different payment plans. That's why me and Zach said, let's just go give the people what they want. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy enough that we do wholesaling for a living. I make plenty of money doing it. And everybody else is running the coaching because it's, to be honest with you, it's safer for them. They can sit in front of their home and do it whenever they want. And they just got to sell you the dream. And I'm trying to stop that as much as I can. I'm not saying everybody paid out there is bad, but a majority of them are. Okay, let's go. We got him here. Brad says, I'd like to add to your point, is wholesalers are really important to build relationships with their buyers, because when there is more supply, they can buy something else. So this is true. I'm telling you, I live this. As much time as we spend with our sellers, and you guys know we are bending over backwards right now for them, harder than I ever have before. My team, I mean. On the flip side, with the buyers, they're going to do the same thing to you. So I don't know about you, but when I got 5-6 deals brewing, I have to have a plan to get them sold. And the idea is where you got speculators bending over backwards, people buying sight unseen. All that will go away. The speculators. The good news in a down market, all speculators almost evaporate overnight. It's like you're parting the sea and you can see the bottom and like, okay, now I know where to go. So don't be a speculator. So if you're on this channel, you know I'm all about minimizing my minimizing my risks or RIC, and maximizing my returns. So being a speculator is the worst ones. They're the ones that are going to pay the biggest price. And what happens is wholesalers tend to bleed over to that. They're thinking they can, I can buy these pre-constructions. The problem with pre-construction, if you know what you're doing and you got the funds to do it, knock yourself out. But you have no control for what it's going to sell for and what's going to happen with the market. So when you do that, when you get into pre-construction stuff like that, it's not a wholesale game. It's completely different. You are making a bet, and either your bet's going to pay off or it's going to blow up in your face. So check. What's up, bud? Rick, for those that have been in the game for a while, closed 20 deals plus a year, if we have some questions for you on scaling the business, we can set up a small coaching session with you or Zach. Yeah, I don't really charge a fee for it. So Zach does a lot of live interactions. He's just a little bit better at it. I guess I'm a little bit old schooler. Scaling is a big myth in wholesaling. Everyone's like, oh, you can scaling has to be done responsibly and correctly. Otherwise, you can get your butt kicked quick. So my best suggestion is kind of go through our videos. I've done multiple scaling videos. In my opinion, you can scale a wholesale operation with under 6 employees. So full disclosure, I run my entire company with 4 employees. I don't want the wastefulness in the overhead. I don't want the office. I don't want all the drama that comes with it. I don't want people like crying on like payday and stuff like this. Everyone's tied to the bottom line other than some of our VAs. And the leaner you can run your operation, especially in a down market, you're going to thrive in the long run. The problem in a down market is if you don't understand scaling is a monster that you cannot turn off overnight. So when we specifically talk about it, there are tweaks you can do. It takes time to scale. It's not just doubling your marketing budget. It doesn't work that way. So yeah, send comments. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to coach you. I'm just going to show you what I do. How's that? And I'll save you 10 grand. You can kind of put it in your pocket. So if you guys are new on the channel, we do everything here for free because we're trying to give you transparency, authenticity, and we go out and do this business every day. So we had a really good week this week. We're in South Florida doing deals in one of the most active markets, the most amount of competition, and I still make it work. I've been doing this 19 years. I never run out of deals. So yes, we can help you out with that, but let's not call it coaching. Yeah. So Lewis asks, when is the market correction coming in your opinion? I can't tell you. Honestly, for full disclosure, I bought into a lot of the hype from 2014, 15, and I've been anticipating it. The problem is if you've been anticipating it since 2014, that's 7 years you got your butt kicked. So it's not like, don't waste the energy on it. I'm telling you is make subtle shifts in your business. So when you see the handwriting on the wall, like you can get way ahead of the curve. The problem is a lot of your egos are not going to let you do it. And that's the biggest challenge I see. It's you want to be right. You want to be right. Let me tell you, I was dead wrong in 08 on a lot of the stuff I did. I mean, completely dead wrong. And to the point of at least $2.5 million. I had at one point, I had so many second mortgages out and I just closed my eyes and prayed I got paid. I lost every one of them but 3. I mean, substantial amount of money. Because I followed a strategy, I over leveraged, and I didn't realize if there was a market correction, I was going to be exposed to my second mortgages and I was never going to get that money. And it was a lot of money. So I'm just telling you, make the corrections. Lewis, I have no idea when it's coming. I think you're good for the next 3 months. After that, just take it month by month. So as long as you're not speculating and doing wholesaling, it's fine. Just make these tiny little changes. Work with your buyers. Spend more time with them. Make sure you have a lot of flexibility in your contract. Make sure your marketing's airtight. like as much sweat equity as you can put into it, and make sure every marketing channel is on point. So if you're doing 5 channels, you might want to like focus on the ones that are really making you money, because you cannot afford waste in the down market. So Lewis asked, do I invest in apartment buildings? Yeah, I love apartment buildings. Like probably one of my favorite assets in the world. They're all apartments are, guys. Everyone makes it so complicated. If you have a 25 unit apartment complex, it's like 25 little tiny houses. The advantage of apartments is the economies of scale. One roof, one major plumbing system, like everything is there. And the challenge with apartments right now is they are smoking hot. They've been smoking hot for the last 7 years. Right now, what I see people buying apartments at scares the crap out of me, and I see a ton of opportunity coming down this road. Now, I will tell you, a lot of people over leverage themselves on apartments too, because when there is a market correction, if you're over leveraged, you're going to be stuck with that property a long time. I love apartment buildings. The problem is, particularly in Florida, we don't have a lot of them, so I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. I don't want to get on a plane and do it every time, so I try to do joint ventures, and I just try to get on deals that make sense. Now, if you're in like Ohio, I believe Pennsylvania, definitely Tennessee, amazing opportunities for apartments. And if you're just starting out doing apartments, I would focus on anything from 4 to like 15 units. That's kind of the sweet spot. The big investors don't want anything to do with it. And a lot of the homeowners are still, the owners are in direct control, and they're not working with brokers. Once you get around 50 doors, you get a much more advanced buyer, and they're quick and they're sharp and they have a team. And then once you get to like 100, 200, and 300 units, the big boys come in. So the big boys they like stuff 300 and 400 units, and they'll pay top dollar for them because they know how to leverage it and they know how to make it work. And inflation has made apartment owners very, very wealthy people right now. So, so YouTube channel name, just simple, Flip with Rick. So, and you can also search Zach Ginn. Zach has his own channel. Now that channel does everything that we provide here, and he also goes into the financial world. So we talk a lot about finances, stocks, different types of investment strategies, ways to save on taxes. And Zach loves that stuff. Man, I wish somebody taught me that when I was in my early 20s. Holy moly. So Flip with Rick. Okay. I'm keeping moving. Sergio says, you and Pace Morby are my favorite leaders right now. So those of you guys that know Pace Morby, dynamite guy out of Phoenix, Arizona, man has the gift of gab. Really likable guy. And my son's had him on the podcast. Just search on Wholesaling Houses for Real. Zach's podcast is Bags to Riches. And I think he did like a whole hour and a half with Pace, and great guy. Nothing but kudos for him. Sharp guy, knows his creative financing. So Sergio, I take that as a compliment. I appreciate it. But whenever we've done anything with Pace or something like that, just like class act guy. He's one of the guys, like I'm telling you, he's a good guy. I like him. So you're in good hands with it. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to take them in order here. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of a long one here. Let's see if we can help somebody out. Says, I have a property in the pipeline that has 2 owners. One is deceased, brother, sister. It's also a pre-foreclosure. The living owner tried to sell, but a probate attorney denied the sale. Okay, only a judge can deny the sale, not the attorney itself. She's willing to sell to me because she wants to get rid of it. Should I just do a deed transfer? So, guys, I don't know what state you're in. That would help if you post it. I'll try my best. So I get these all the time, all the freaking time. I have so many in the works right now. It would shock you. But so you have the cooperation of one one owner and the other one has passed away. So depending on how the title was taken, it sounds like you need to get a probate for the property to transfer legally. All the probate does, guys, so you understand, is a dead person cannot sign a deed over. So the only way they can transfer a property if someone's deceased is you have to have a court order. In order to get a court order, if you haven't set up the title correctly, either in a trust or something else, which is a whole different show, you have to have usually an attorney file a probate for you. And there's a million different ways to do it depending on the assets and the worth. But 9 times out of 10, people's houses are their biggest asset. And there's a few $1,000s in the bank account. And this is where you want to get super familiar with probate. So you guys know I know probates, but like I'm telling you, you have one. So you have 2 people on there. You have the controlling interest. So what I would do is I would find a probate attorney, hopefully that you've networked or worked with before. If you haven't, work with your local title company. Tell him your scenario. Ask him what's need to be done. He's going to want a copy of the title and any other pertinent information, and ask what it would take to get this thing through probate, the cost, and what obstacles are in the way. Now, if the deceased person has a will, it makes it so much easier. And if the other person on the deed would be the personal representative or the executor, this would work. So in my state, if I had this scenario, it would cost me about $1,500 to do this. I would bring them to my attorney. I would probably prepay the attorney if they pre-sign a contract. They agree, and it would take anywhere from 30 to 90 days to get it done. Now, there's a whole lot that can happen in between there, but I'm just telling you, I would get a contract, have the one person sign it, and then I would take it to the probate attorney and ask for advice on what you want to do there. So get the deal locked up. Now, listen, if it takes you 6 months, who cares? Comes back. The properties are worth more anyways, like 9 times out of 10. But you just need to solve the problem. That's what we do. Solve the problem. They don't know how to work with an attorney, nor do they have the money to do it. Now, 1 of 2 ways you can do it. If they're going to give you a smoking deal on the house, like 40, 50 cents on the dollar, and they're okay with it, then you can pay the attorney and you can absorb the cost up to it. Now, what I would do is say, I'll pay the attorney up to $1,000 or $1,500 and negotiate with the attorney. So by the way, the attorney is probably gonna have to pay about $500 to $700 in attorney's cost. So I always offer the attorney $1,000 up front and the balance when it's completed. Motivation, guys. If you give the attorney all the money up front, stuff like that, they're going to do it on their own dime when it's convenient for you. So the other way you can do it is go, I'll do it, and then you can reimburse me the attorney expenses at the closing. Is that something that we can work with? The advantage of that is sometimes they cost more than $1,500 just from litigation and stuff like that. And if the deal's a little bit tighter, then I push on the homeowner. It's still a win-win for them because they're able to sell the property. So guys, I get too excited talking about probate. Good one. So Lulu, hey, Rick, I know you own a mortgage brokerage company. I don't. I own a brokerage, a real estate brokerage. I'm not a mortgage guy. I understand mortgages, but so I have a real estate brokerage for full disclosure. I don't run it. I have nothing to do with it. They sell all my properties and it runs on its own. There's a lot of high-end properties. I was wondering if you would recommend being a mortgage broker right now. If you love mortgages and you love finance and you love doing that stuff, it's great. I will tell you this. In the end, if you become a mortgage broker, you have to be an expert marketer. Did you hear me? You have to be an expert marketer. And you're going to have an office because you have to have employees that work files, do underwriting, and have loan originators. So you know what? If it's your passion, do it. Like, don't do it just because it's like, it'll make money. Like I've seen them make a lot of money, but it's the reason I have a real estate brokerage is my wife is the broker, so it helps us out. Number 2, my company is their complete top priority, and I make sure of that every day on a daily basis. And number 3, we get a lot of side referrals from people just looking to move properties, and it's just easy extra money in this business. So that goes I'm not licensed, she's licensed, and I tell every one of you, Don't become a licensed unless you have to or you want to make it your business. So good questions. Okay, let's keep moving. Oh, wait. I skipped. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to start moving through these so I can get as many questions answered. So if I get a little bit shorter, I apologize. Somebody asked, what are your views on flipping mobile homes? Yes, I love them. Actually, me and Zach just bought a group of mobile homes back in the earlier part of the year. And as far as a return on it, it's probably one of our highest yielding returns. It's insane. Like we bought one at like 15 and I think the other at 20 grand, and we're renting them out at like 11 and $1,200 a pop. I mean, and you understand, like a year and a half, my entire investment's paid back. The taxes are next to nothing. I just love it. And I've been offered 4 times what I paid for it to sell it, but I'm not going to sell it. Like it's too easy. So as you guys mature and you go through this business, you're going to find stuff that will pay you for the rest of your life. And the sooner you can bite off some of those, the ones you like to bite off are creative financing or like really cheap properties, and they will lead you to bigger and better deals. So yeah, absolutely do it. Okay. Jose. Okay. Well, you got a lot of little things in there. I'm working with a seller who has a realtor who's moving out of state and wants to sell as is. They're okay with selling to an investor. Any advice? Should I disclose I'm a wholesaler? I'm working with a seller who has a realtor. So I assume the seller is moving out of state. So you're not required to disclose anything. You're not a licensed person from what you're saying. A wholesaler is not a licensed person. So the wholesaler, if you tell everybody you're a wholesaler to the seller, you're going to kill yourself. Take the average person, do this experiment, go out and say, do you know what a wholesaler is? And just shut your mouth and see what they say to you. They're going to look at you with a blank look. Guys, we are in a different world. You cannot use these words with your seller. I am simply a cash buyer looking to buy a house in this neighborhood. Do you have something for sale? That's it. The only thing you have to deal with here is the realtor. Typically, the realtor wants to be compensated. And if they're bringing you a deal and handing it on a plate, pay them, guys. Just pay them a spiff, do something. Most realtors get pretty bitter when you don't pay them. And that's why we all get a bad rap in this business. So no wholesaler, there's no point in disclosing it. It's just going to kill your deal. You are a cash buyer. You know why? Because that's what a wholesaler is. I'm a cash buyer. That's what you want to do. Sam, thanks for the transparency. I appreciate you being on here. We talked about this earlier. If you're going to disclose something, sooner the better, in my opinion. But remember, disclosing a wholesaler is not, it's pointless. They don't know what it is. You're a cash buyer. Any recommendations to start wholesaling? Yes, start right here. You can visit our Flip with Rick channel, Wholesaling Houses for Real. We put out content every day. And remember, we're in this business doing it every day. And I'm teaching it, not even teaching, I'm showing you how to do it step by step for free, guys. I can't make it any easier. If I was getting started out right now, I would start out at listrei.com. You get a 7-day free trial period. Research your markets, get a feel for what properties are selling for. And the good thing is it's so cheap, gives you 10,000 leads to start off. And it's really designed for a one-man shop right off the bat. That's how I would start off. And by the way, that's what we use in our business right now. Oh, here's a good one. So I got Mr. Smooth Criminal. Is it okay to use a seller's choice of closing companies or your own when virtual wholesaling? I can tell you right now, 100% use your own title company, because it's going to be I'm not going to use the word, I'll get in trouble with Zach. It's going to be a train wreck if you use their title company. Remember, your title company is trained the way you do business, and they understand you, and they communicate to you whenever there's an issue, a challenge, or a hiccup in your transaction. Use another title company. They're more geared towards retail buyers. They have no idea what you're doing. They don't understand if what you're doing is even legal. And it's going to be tough. And then they're going to communicate everything you do wrong to the seller, and it's going to work against you. So I'm just telling you, unless you got a smoking deal and it's the only way you can get the deal is using their title company, I don't care if it costs you more than your own title company, use them. It will save you a lot of aggravation, and a lot of times it will save your entire deal. Okay. Okay. I'm just taking the questions. I read them as they come up here. Rick, what is the best way to find and outsource our cold calling? I'd like to find a company that can manage the VAs and would choose any company that's specific. So it's funny you kind of bring this up because me and Zach are actually working on a project right now, and we are going through our own trials and errors on exactly what you're talking about. Most people understand cold calling is involved. Like there's a lot of management in it, and it can get very expensive. So I'm going to have something for you. I want to test it out to see if it works. We're still waiting for results to come in, so I will share them as they come up. But for now, I mean, if you like cold calling and you know how to do it, start out right now with your own dialer, Mojo, like Zendialer, whatever you want to use, and come up with a script that's absolutely proven. Zach shares his script in our Facebook group. I believe he has it in other places. Just check out Phone Script on there, especially for cold calling. Zach's a master at it. He's really good, much better than I ever was at it. And just be careful when you get into it. Just work your way up, and if just don't outsource it if you don't know what you're doing, because that's where you're just going to give everybody a lot of free money. So, good question. So I assume that New York. So New York has some more complicated laws, so it'd probably be more than $1,500. But do exactly what I tell you. Get it under contract. Take it to a probate attorney. Try to talk to the probate attorney before you get the contract, and usually they'll consult with you free and tell you how to take that deal down. Remember, once you have control of one of the parties, you just got to figure out and solve the math problem. Not even the math problem on how to get this thing to closing. And I want you to understand, if it takes 6 months, like don't lose sleep over it. It's just a seed you're planning to come back to in 6 months. I've waited as long as 4 years to get a deal done. I don't care. Being an impatient wholesaler will kill you in the long run. So 6 months is nothing, guys, if that's what it takes. But good luck with that. Okay, so let's jump on this. So I got somebody saying, I don't know how it's being dishonest. If I'm a cash buyer and I got cash and I'm a buyer, that's all I'm telling you to do. I'm not telling anybody to be dishonest on here. The only way you're going to be dishonest if you're not a cash buyer. If you're not a cash buyer, then go get a realtor's license. So you got to understand there's a million ways to slice this puppy. So you are informing the homeowner clearly unless assigning your purchase agreements become illegal or unlawful. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you're wrong on that. So guys, understand a cash buyer means you have an agreement to come up with cash to buy that property. If it's your money, hard money, your partner's money, your mom's money, it's irrelevant. So I appreciate the schooling of the legal thing. So I think I got 19 years experience. So I think I can qualify as a cash buyer. I don't tell anybody to go out and be a cash buyer if you don't have a plan. If you don't have a plan, don't do it. I agree. I'm not here to put homeowners in a bad position, but I can tell you it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. You got to have a plan before you go out. I agree. You got to, but disclosing like 3 million things, who requires you to disclose this? Who? Like who? I'm not a licensed realtor. There's no licensing for wholesaling in the state of Florida. So what do you want me to disclose that's not already on the contract? I've been doing this 19 years. I've done 2,000 properties plus. Like, if you're going to comment on here, just make sure you know what like you're doing. Remember, I'm not your paid consultant to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what actually goes down in real estate. So, that's funny. I love when people comment and they don't know what they're talking about. So, Anyways, those are people that analyze stuff on the sideline, and they're probably best to go pay a guru to give you information on stuff they don't actually do. So I've been doing it 19 years. So how do I negotiate finding a closing company to my liking for a virtual deal? And thanks for the info. You just got to go out and do your research. So find someone that does business in that area and see if they can recommend a title company. I hate the word investor friendly title company because it doesn't even make sense. So remember, the title company has to ensure the transaction and make sure everything's like above board. But I'm going to tell you, if you pick out the title company, they're more in your favor, meaning they'll communicate to you better. They'll work on your behalf harder. That's just how it works. So if I was just starting out, it's advantageous to find them before you get a deal. But if you found a deal, then great. Just reverse engineer it. Use social media, find somebody, find an investment group in that area that hopefully has a website or some sort of social media presence. And you should find a common thread in the title companies you're using. But if not, just rip through Google, find 10 or 12 title companies and tell them what you do. If they're not familiar with assignment of contract, move on. Because assignment of contract is built in a standard realtor contract. So it's not something us wholesalers came up with on our own. So there's a reason it was put in there, and most good title companies will become aware of it. So thanks, Big Rick. Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, let's see. I got a couple more. I got time for a few more speed questions. Oh, okay. So the seller is a licensed realtor. So honestly, if they're a licensed realtor, it just means they're probably going to be more educated on the system. I don't care if they're a licensed realtor. Guys, do you understand what a licensed realtor is? It's somebody who went and paid a fee to take a state board exam. That's it. Honestly, there is no other qualifications for it other than pay your dues and understand you are regulated. What does it mean by regulated? It means if you get a complaint or anything, you have to answer to a board. And they can make the final decisions on what happens with your license, what happens with some of your commissions, and stuff like that. When a realtor steps into to sell a property on their own, they typically step out of the role, but they're still obligated. So if he's okay with it and stuff like that, and you're fine. Actually, that might really work out to your advantage. By the way, I buy a lot of properties from realtors because like the ego never stops. And when they get in trouble, they all need my money. Okay. Okay. So let's try to help out Kelly here. Says, I'm really struggling comping land. How do you do it exactly? Honestly, all land is with a house off of it. So the challenge is it is geographic sensitive. So like I'm in Port St. Lucie a lot. I buy everything here. Like me and Zach are the biggest buyers here. Anybody wants to take us on with it? Let's go. I'll show you the numbers. So I do this for like a living. I enjoy it. So when we do comp, it's actually really, really simple. Either the numbers work or they don't. If there's a huge disparity in like the comp, I know it's not going to work. Usually the seller's delusional or something like that. So when it comes up to comping land, just simply listrei.com, pull it up, look at the comps, see what your seller's looking to get for it. And then you have to network typically with real estate brokers and agents around your area to see if they're at. So let me give you an example. I'd pull it up. They're asking for 25, which is very common. And then I look around and the stuff's only selling in the 20s. I know I got an uphill battle here and I'm going to have to work through it. So without a house on there, it's actually simplified. It's what a buyer's willing to pay for it. And once you get close, so if the seller's asking for 20 and I see they're selling for like 25, then I know it's probably going to be a pretty easy deal. And there's no other, it's what your buyer's willing to pay for it. End of story. So, okay, guys, I'm wrapping it up. I think I got the last question. I had 2 questions I'll answer and we're done. Okay. Closed a 15K deal yesterday. Stay consistent, people. Awesome. So if you can share any insights on that deal on our Wholesale for Real Facebook group or anything like that. So hopefully it'll inspire others. Like I would love to hear more details on it. That is awesome. A great way to start off your Friday. Last question. Jack asked, do you change your script when talking to people in pre-foreclosure? You don't really have to. So remember, the whole idea is to pull out their motivation for selling it. You already know the answer if they're in pre-foreclosure. You just have to build enough rapport to get them to connect with you if they're willing to sell you the house. Can you change the script? You can change the opening line. But I'm going to be honest with you. If they're in foreclosure, if they're a tax delinquency, if you found it driving for dollars, don't overcomplicate it. Just connect with them, build rapport, and see if you can get a deal done with them. If you're going to change your script for every one of them, it becomes complicated and you're going to confuse yourself and anybody you work with. So I would just simplify it. Are you interested in selling the house? Great. Let's talk about it and get into it. It's these complicated scripts. Don't worry about it. So guys, that's it. I'm wrapping up just over an hour and 10 minutes here. Do me a favor. If you haven't before and you've just viewed the channel, hit that subscribe button. Jack says, thanks, Rick and Zach. I'll say thank you for Zach. He's not here right now, but you guys almost see him every day. So you need a little bit of a break. Hit that subscribe button. Share this video with someone that you think would benefit, that maybe needs some help in understanding when a market change is going to happen. Remember, we don't know when it's going to happen. All I can do is prepare you for it. Guys, I appreciate you taking the time. I'm here every Friday. I will see you next Friday at 5 o'clock. Keep it real. Thanks, guys.